Hello, Millwall fans. Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
Post-match analysis for Chat with Chaps. We're finished at the Den on what was a truly amazing day, start to finish. Millwall 1, Middlesbrough 0. If we don't make it, it won't be because of a lack of grit, effort and determination. Everything Millwall Football Club is all about. That was something that Alex Neil said after the game, and that couldn't be more fitting for me of how we should summarise yesterday. Just from start to finish, a wonderful occasion. The weather even came out for us as well, and lots to talk about. I'm going to talk a bit about, obviously, the Cancer Research Collection Day, and of course, I will go on to talk about the game as well. So stick with me. If you are new to the channel, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Please share, put a comment, anything you can do to get this as wide as possible. The more views means the more money that we're going to be donating to cancer research this season. And we are currently working through the total amount with the guys over at Cancer Research, and we'll announce it this week. But first and foremost, just thank you so much to the generosity that always comes with the Millwall family. It was such an amazing day. And do you know what's really like touching is the amount of people that just come over and talk to you about their stories and how doing what we're doing is having an impact, and that makes it all worth it. So thank you so much. I've got loads to get through today, but please bear with me because I think this is going to be a bit of a long one. But look, yesterday, Dockers Day, also remembering the life of Dave Memmott, and obviously his family were there as well. So it was, even before the things that we're going to talk about, it was a special occasion. And a massive thank you and well done to everyone that was involved. I personally got there at 8 a.m. because I was interviewing ex-Millwall goalkeeper, and in my opinion, in my lifetime, certainly one of the best goalkeepers I've seen pull on the shirt, in David Ford. So that interview will be out in the next week or so. I need to do some editing and things, but a massive thank you to David, who gave up his Saturday morning. He also came around, obviously, to see us at the various stands. And a massive thank you to Will as well for helping coordinate that, mate. So both massive thank you, because it was a great show and I can't wait for you to listen to it. So that was in the morning. And then, of course, we set up around the ground with stands, buckets, card machines. We even had our phones that Cancer Research somehow turned into card machines. And as I say, we're still totting up the totals, but I've just got so many thank yous. I think, first of all, a massive thank you to every single person that volunteered yesterday. You gave up your time, your effort. It never surprises me, really, with the generosity and what Millwall fans are willing to do. But a huge thank you to them. I want to give a special thank you to Phil Clark, who's a friend of mine, and a friend of the podcast. He does quite a bit behind the scenes, and I just want to say a huge thank you to you, mate, because you went above and beyond to get some of those t-shirts signed, which ultimately led to a lot of t-shirts being sold and a lot of money raised for charity. So thank you to you, mate. I want to thank, and you've got to bear with me, guys, but hopefully you understand why. And by the way, there will be people that I accidentally forget, so please don't hold me to it. I'm just trying to get through as many as I can here. I want to thank Millwall Football Club. I want to thank Max, who was a brilliant help. I want to thank James, who was a brilliant help. And, of course, Mark as well, who was also really helpful. So a massive thank you to everyone involved at Millwall for allowing us the platform to do what we did yesterday, not only with a collection, but also for allowing us to use the Spitfire Lounge to interview David. I want to thank Martin at No One Likes Us for producing the T-shirts. A very, I'm not going to share, but just, a very... at cost, basically, which again enables us to give even more. I want to thank the players, the ones that signed the shirts, but also the players even before the game. They come over, a few of them donated. There's a picture here of Mihailo and George Honeyman. George Honeyman, I tell you, what a guy! Like, such a lovely, lovely guy. I'm not saying any of the others aren't, but he in particular, took a lot of time and effort yesterday to come over and whatever. So massive thank you to him and to Casper as well. I haven't got a photo of him just there, but Casper and I think Mr. Hutchinson also gave donations as well. So thank you to you. I already mentioned Mr. Mark Fairbrother. So again, thank you, Mark. Here's a picture of Mark and I, holding up the shirts. Honestly, there's just so much to go through. I also want to thank a couple of people, and this is where Millwall family come together, right? So I want to thank Nick over at Acton and Millwall for pushing this as much as he has, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank Dan from Lions TV for the kind words and generosity with the donation. I want to thank the Omaras as well. Massive thank you for, exactly why, but thank you so much for yesterday. I want to thank Richard Cooley, again, who produced a wonderful article. I want to thank Kelly from the Lions Food Hub, who kindly came and donated a signed shirt that we're going to be able to raffle off. There's just so many. I want to thank the team at Cancer Research. Richard and team, you were absolutely incredible. I want to thank Warren and family for coming down. And then I want to thank all of you for listening, for donations. And I've got a few names here. And again, I'm not going to remember everyone, but I want to thank Aussie Dave, Harry, nice for you to come over and say hello. Dennis, who I believe your son came over and donated on your behalf. A massive thank you. I want to thank Ken Clark, who, if I've got this right, you've been coming to Millwall for a very, very long time. So I want to thank you. I want to say hello to Jack and to Stanley. Thanks for coming over and saying hello. Pep, Peter, you know who you are. I want to say hello to you. Reese, who drove down from Hereford and bought a T-shirt. Thank you. Alan, first game in 1952, was also there. Clive Gregory, Dave, who I know you lost your dad to cancer. Gary Tower and Nick, Jim and grandson. There's just so many names to mention. And obviously Mr. Caveat, you know who I'm talking about. But guys, there are so many names that I could continue to mention. Jeff Cook, Jeff Chandler. The list is endless, right? But thank you. That's all I'm going to say. We really appreciate it. And in the next day or so, we will be able to share the total amount. And it's humbling, guys. It really is, I think, what we've managed to achieve. So thank you. And I'm now going to move on to actually talk about the game. I think I've got my thank yous out. Right. Okay. The game. Dockers Day, always a big occasion. Lots of people there. The sun was out. And I missed the first 15 minutes. But to be honest, I probably could have missed the first half, couldn't I? There wasn't really much of note. Look, Middlesbrough are a good side. And they're a good side in a different way to us. They're a pretty side, right? They're easy on the eye. They move around. They've got players like Hackney. In actual fact, I have forgotten to thank you. I want to thank the Middlesbrough fans because you also gave a lot of kind donations as well. So a massive thank you to the Middlesbrough fans as well. But yes, they're a different side to us. They play a different style of football. Morris and Hackney in the middle. It's very different. Azaz is a good player as well. But I've noted down here, and I think we had a header from Crammer that maybe you could have done better. And they had a couple of half chances, right? They probably had the better chances in the first half. Hackney had a shot that he dragged wide. Probably the best chance in that first half fell to Morgan Whittaker. Luke Cundall, he was playing for the foul. It wasn't actually, if you watch it back. The ball then breaks, I think, to Bergsorg. He plays it inside to Whittaker, and Whittaker just can't sort his feet out and ends up being a fairly comfortable save. And I also noted here as well that Joe Bryan put a superb block in on 33 to deny Bergsorg. But that was it in the first half. And it was a little bit stop-start. Again, the referee, I felt, got too involved. But it wasn't one for the ages, the first half. And I didn't feel too bad about missing the 15 minutes as I was closing up the stall. It was a great opportunity then in the second half for us to really turn that round. And what I loved here, and we're going to talk about this with my talking point section at the end, is the sub that Alex Neil chose to make. Right now, we could see it wasn't working. It wasn't a good first half, and you got to give the players, right. They've gone to Sheffield United and obviously pulled on that performance, and we had to change things up with obviously Coburn coming out of the team. We tried with Cundall. I realised I've not even gone through the starting 11, so I'm all over the place today. But hopefully you give me a pass on this one. but it just wasn't working, was it? And it felt that we needed that other man up top. So Alex Neil, what he does, again, makes the change at half time. Absolutely love it. He comes out, he makes that change. He brings off Kundal and he puts on Macaulay Langstaff. And for me, yes, they had a couple of moments in the second half, which we'll talk about. But that second half performance from us yesterday was everything Millwall Football Club is all based on and what the Millwall family is based on, which is hard work, effort, desire, everything on the line. Yeah, they've probably got better players than us, but we just wanted it more. And that was just so... there were two things that won us that game. That, and I think Alex Neil, to be honest, making those changes when he did. Langstaff changed the game for the first 15 minutes to get us more control. And of course, the changes that he goes on to make on the on the sort of 60-minute mark, which makes a huge difference. But the tide was turning, right? So I've noted down here, we had sort of 3 half chances on 47, 48, and 49. So the 47, Langstaff, ball down the line. He's a willing runner. He runs the channel. He wins the free kick. Honeyman, good ball into the box. And this is what I like about Langstaff. He's the only player we've got, I think, that would just be in around those pockets. For me, it's not a penalty. I don't think it is a penalty. The ball gets cleared. Then we have a block from Amaku on 48. And then on 49, there's another half-decent chance where Honeyman gets himself in a good position and Travers in the Middlesbrough goal makes a decent save. But we really started to up the pressure here. We sort of cause a little bit of panic on 53 with a long ball into the box. And on 57, we make those changes. And this is where I give major credit to Alex Neil. A lot of Middlesbrough fans are slating Michael Carrick for not being proactive enough with changes. This is where you earn your money as a manager. And he makes a treble substitution. And yes, obviously, it's not great that Negley goes on to get injured, but he's got us the 3 points. And ultimately, if we don't, we probably can't even be talking about the playoffs anymore. So you got to give and take there. But he makes 3 changes. So off comes Denor, who I thought looked tired, and I don't blame him for that. He's played a lot of minutes. He comes off. Honeyman comes off. We put a real shift in. And you got to bear in mind as well that Honeyman's only just come back to fitness. He's played 3 times in a week. So fair play to him. And Amaku comes off. I'm going to talk about Amaku in a little bit, but he comes off and we bring on George Saville, Femi Aziz and Kamil Negley. Obviously, Alex Neil says maybe weren't quite ready to come on, but what else did he have? And it changes the game. It changes the game. Those 3 players were all instrumental in getting us over the line in that second half. I think it took a little while. From the changes, they had a 4 or 5 minute spell actually where they just dominated possession. And it took a little while to get our rhythm back after those changes. But on 63, Femi has a chance where he just takes a bit of a not swing at it, but a long range effort. And it sort of whistles past the post. And I like that confidence from Femi. The fact he has that just shows how much he has grown, because he certainly wouldn't have done that in the first month he was here. So great that he's back and involved. And then on 65, we get our goal. And what I love here is it's the 3 subs that combine for this, right? So Saville wins the ball. I don't know if it's Aziz or Hackney, but he's in their face. He wins the ball cleanly, fairly. And this is probably a little bit of Sav, being up for it against Middlesbrough, being his former club. But that 45 minutes shows to me how important George Saville is. And that's going to be a talking point at the end. He wins the ball back. Negley then collects it. He does this kind of spinning thing to create himself a half a yard. He drives forward the ball, plays it out wide to Femi Aziz. Aziz drives forward, plays the ball back across goal. I think there's a deflection or a block. It finds its way to Kamil Negley, who just doesn't panic, calm, composed, and rolls it into the side of the box where Mark Travers is looking the other way, doesn't even try to move for it. We go 1-0 up, and it's pandemonium, right? The emotion of that goal for me personally, given what yesterday was all about, remembering what Millwall's all built on, which is Dockers Day, paying respects to Dave Memmott, the Cancer Research Collection. It's just, I don't know. That was just some moment to score that goal. Really, really superb. And then, I think we have another half a chance. Good corner on 71. Yeah, it was a header from Leonard. I thought Negley's corners, by the way, were superb, actually. And I think Negley and Honeyman, they can half put a decent corner in. I've noticed that that's a real change since those have been fit and available. Then they started to sort of take control for, I think, the next sort of 10 to 12 minutes here. They started to make a few substitutions, take control. And Azaz, I really like Finn Azaz. I think he's a good player. I think at times defensively he's a luxury player, but going forward, he can move the ball so quickly and he twists and turns, and he has a shot on 74, which Lucas Jensen gets his fingertips and it goes over the bar. From that, we get caught out by a short corner again, which is really frustrating because it keeps happening. Comes to nothing, but was really frustrating. On 75, I think they have another chance where I don't know if it was Howson or Hackney, but it goes over the bar. And look, they had, I've noted down here, 82, Azaz over the bar. In that, Iheanacho on 83 comes on. Conway, 86 over the bar. Like, they have a lot of half chances, long range efforts, but really they don't test us until the 91st minute, which I'll come on to in a second. But I felt we did well in restricting Middlesbrough to long range efforts largely throughout the course of the game. And I think they had a lot of the ball. I think they had 60% possession, 61% possession. But ultimately, they had, there's another one of my favourite words, Mr. Caveat. Ultimately is another one of my favourite words. People take the piss because I use caveat all the time, but it's a good word, isn't it, caveat? Anyway, going back to what I was talking about, yeah, we restricted them, and we both had 4 shots on target. So there you go. Couple of things on it I still want to call out here as the game sort of petered out, and it didn't peter out at all, but we closed the game out. On 89, we get a free kick, still sending men forward. Love that. Really like the fact that we were trying to do that. I think Cooper and Kramer both went forward. On 90 minutes, Billy Mitchell makes an outstanding save. Well, it was a saving tackle, that's for sure. And he said in his post-match he had to get that right, and by God, he did. Superbly timed tackle. And, that was something that, there was a fist pump from Billy. The crowd started cheering his name. And I feel that sometimes in a Millwall player's career, there's a moment, right? And we talked about this to David Ford, actually, about what his moment was. And I think that could be Billy Mitchell's moment, because Billy has divided the fan base for some time. And I don't think he's been valued enough by certain sections for the things he was doing and the things he was good at. I think in the last month or so, what he has done, and I don't know, is this because he's always had it in his locker and Alex has given him the freedom? Is it because something's happened for Billy and he's developed? Or was it always there and we just didn't see it? I, for one, have always been a Billy fan, but I'm saying certain sections of the fans. But he has taken it up a notch with the way I think he impacts games. And, a couple of balls he played forward. Obviously the ball he played forward on Tuesday night for the goal against Sheffield United. But there was a couple of times he played the ball forward. And that was his moment, that tackle and the fans singing his name. And he deserves it. And for me, he was man of the match. Tristan Kramer was phenomenal. And we're going to talk about Tristan in a minute. But Billy Mitchell, for me, man of the match. I thought he was exceptional, as was Tristan. 91 minutes. The ball comes over the box. Brian's got 2 men. Don't know how he's ended up with 2 men, but he goes to the first one. By doing that, he leaves the one at the back post, which is Marcus False, that's come on. Marcus False, tight angle, but 6, 7, 8 yards out, fires it towards goal. Now, Marcus False has scored a winning goal for Middlesbrough at Den before. This time, doesn't happen. The reason it doesn't happen is because Lucas Jensen, in the 91st minute of the game, makes an outstanding save. And again, Lucas Jensen, I said a month ago that I felt he wasn't quite there at the minute. I always said we should stick with him. I never, ever said we shouldn't. And again, the last few weeks, he has been outstanding. And for me, he is now proving that he is a good, solid Championship goalkeeper. And with saves like that, you've got to bear in mind, he's only in mid-20s. He could be going on to really big things. And I'm really pleased for him. And do you know what I've noticed as well? Because I didn't do the post-match on Tuesday night. So again, thank you to the Sicilian Godfather. for doing that, and he did it impeccably, was the players have started going up and congratulating him. And I like that, because that just shows, because I called out before, we weren't seeing that, and I was always a little bit wondering why. Incidentally, that has been since Tanganga's not in the side. And again, that's going to be another talking point in just 1 second. I just want to close this out. We have a chance to make it 2. We break forward. Really good play again. And Femi, this is where decision making from Femi. So on 92, all he's got to do is cut it across the Langstaff, and Langstaff would have a clean sighted goal. He doesn't. And unfortunately, we didn't get the second goal. But Leonard goes down with cramp. Jensen, I think at one point goes down. I don't know if that was just to try and waste time. But we see the game out, and it was just, what a win. QPR did us a favour by taking a point against Bristol City. Sorry, Febs, if you're listening. Thank you for the donation, sir. But it keeps us in it, doesn't it? And it keeps the Easter weekend very, very, very exciting, with 2 games that, I think Blackburn won yesterday, but they've been terrible recently. Norwich, in theory, could have nothing to play for. So, look, it's 2 massive, massive games. We've won 3 on the spin, and that should not be underestimated. But what have we got to lose? Let's go for it. And that brings me on to my talking points, right? I want to give Alex Neil some serious credit. So the first talking point is Alex Neil. I think there's 3 things I want to talk about. The first one is certain players that have come on significantly under Alex Neil. I think Joe Bryan's the biggest one. I think he's been fantastic, and I really hope he gets a new contract. I think that another one that needs to be also given credit, obviously we just talked about Lucas Jensen, but I also think another player that needs to be, and Billy Mitchell, I think Mihailo Ivanovic, actually. I thought Ivanovic yesterday was great. Yes, he didn't score, but he won a number of headers. I thought his hold-up play was the best I've seen him. He's developing, and I think he looks a better player, certainly, under Alex Neil. And again, Alex needs to take credit. So for player development is 1. Number 2, I like playing 4-4-2, certainly at home. And I really like the fact that so does he, right? He wants 2 wide men that go and attack and to have players forward. So again, I really like that, because that second half was an enjoyable watch, right? At times when we were holding on, maybe not, but some of the play we played was enjoyable. And the third one is just his tactics. I felt that we knew, and I include making substitutions at the right times, the last 2 games running, by the way, but I felt we knew that Middlesbrough would have a lot of the ball, and it was for us is how are we going to deal with them? And I felt we set up to do that in a way that enabled us to play on the counter, which suited us. I thought you got it tactically spot on yesterday against supposedly one of the biggest up and coming managers in English football. So that's my first talking point. The second one is I want to talk about this squad. Now, it's frustrating that we didn't hold on against Cardiff at home or Oxford away, because if we'd have held on against them, we'd have 4 more points, we'd be in the playoffs. But this squad give everything. They really, really do. And 3 games, 3 wins. I think only Burnley have taken more points in the last, 12 games than we have. And there's players like Leonard and Honeyman that have been out injured, that have come back, played 3 games in a week in various different positions. And they're just giving everything. And I just love it. I just, the camaraderie clearly this squad have got. And it's a good blend of Millwall players and younger players that have got abundance of technical ability. And talking to Millwall players, George Saville, I thought he was instrumental in the second half for achieving that. And if the club are listening, which I know you do, so Mr. Fairbrother, Mr. Gallen, Mr. Berylson, sir, if you're all listening, make sure that George Saville is at this football club next season, because, and as David Ford said, Millwall is one of those clubs that we have to have Millwall people. Now, you don't have to be a Millwall fan, but you have to get it. And you either get it because you've been around the club so long, it's part of your upbringing. There's various different reasons, but George Saville gets it. And that is why yesterday, he was on the dark arts. He's pulling Azaz constantly, poking and prodding him. He knows what he's doing. That's what we need here at Millwall. And we love that. And it was players like George Saville you cannot get rid of all of these more experienced players. We know some are going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if Hutchie goes, if Muzza goes, but you don't move all of them on, because trust me, you've got to have that blend. And like I said, Mr. Full talked about it, and I think George Saville being here next season is vital. The next one is Mr. Tanganga. No, I always get it wrong that way. Look, you know, I love Japhet Tanganga. You know, he's I sponsored his shirt. I have said that he's the best centre back in the league, and I firmly believe that. But the biggest praise that I can give to the defence, but in particular Tristan Kramer, is we haven't missed him in the last 2 games, and we kept 2 clean sheets. So massive credit. And dare I say it, that that observation of Jensen in the last couple of games, players going over to him, the defence just seems happy. And I'm not sitting here saying that Tanganga is the one making them unhappy, but I don't know. It seems to have a good balance to it. And look, I don't think Tanganga is going to be here next season. So even if we take this point as we're going to be all right next year, we'll need more reinforcements. We can't rely on that back four. We need deputies. And Ryan and Joe are in their 30s now, so we'll need deputies, and we'll certainly need at least 1 or 2 more centre backs in the summer. But Kramer and Cooper, it's got a nice ring to it. They look good, and that's good enough for me. And then the only they're all positives. The one that's kind of a little bit negative is Imaku and Kundal. Imaku, his head dropped big time after about 10, 15 minutes, and at times, he just looked like he'd given up, and I don't know whether he's still young, but for me, he's starting to show why he could just be an impact sub only at this level, and why Harris wasn't picking him. I feel for him, because you can tell he's trying, and well, to a point, right? I've just said there at times he looked like he'd given up, but it's a tricky one with Imaku. Hopefully over the summer, and Alex Neil, who was getting, quite frustrated with him, shall we say, at times at the touchline. Hopefully a little bit more of work with Imaku, and there's a player in there. Maybe he's not a left winger. I don't know. But anyway, that was that. And I thought Kundal, again, didn't really contribute too much. I thought he was quite good at Sheffield United, but I didn't think he contributed at all in that first half. Now, I don't know whether that's his fault per se, or the fact that we just need to play a different formation against Middlesbrough. But yeah, he's one that I met him before the game. Really nice lad, and I hope he comes good, and I'm sure he will. But at the moment, it's not quite working for him. So they're those 2 there. But I'm going to round it all off with a positive to say, look, 4 games to go. If you'd have said 4 games to go, we still got a chance, albeit slim, at the playoffs, you'd have absolutely taken that. And I think it's just frustrating that we're not that far away from being there, right? And we shall see where we end up. But really looking forward to the next couple of games. And then I'm just sort of going to finish off by, again, just thanking every single person, whether you donated 5p or £500. Thank you, because it all matters. It all counts. And yesterday was a really proud moment for the podcast and everyone involved. And who knows, maybe there's more to come in the future. But thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's just started raining, so happy days. I really do hope that I've got everything out, all the thank yous and bits and bobs. I'm just rechecking my final notes. Langstaff made a difference. I think I've said that. I believe I've thanked everyone. But thank you, Millwall family. And we'll see you on the next one. Of course, as always, bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.